Hello, Kimara Hashiv and Jewish Mr. Joseph and an Alaba. I'm Brian and Gaelic. Um, yeah, we're doing some revision for this Gaelic exam that I have coming up in a few weeks. Now, one bit of advice that I have for you about any exam is you have to live it. You have to get into the psychology of it. You have to really see it as more than just words on paper. You have to prepare yourself for doing it. You have to be open. One great thing that helps me every day is just to take a minute to remind myself that I am open to receiving what's on the page, open to learning. Um, and as a teacher, this is advice I always give students as well, because when you get older, your vision, for some reason, sometimes kind of narrows and you don't see the hope that perhaps you would have seen just by doing a task 30 years ago. Um, so it's really important just before you start to study anything to say, I'm open. I'm open to receiving what I need to know today. And you'd be surprised at the huge difference that makes. Um, I don't think that's a Celtic thing. I think it's just a human nature thing. But I've been doing that now. I have to say, up until today, I've not really been uh, very. Well, I've not been feeling very ready for this Gaelic exam, but I have 2 weeks, and I've started listening daily to BBC Radio Nagail, and also I'll be watching BBC Alaba as well, just to kind of immerse myself and remind myself, because my Gaelic isn't actually that bad, but for a number of reasons, including the coursework, which doesn't really resonate so well with me, um, I often get a bit lost. So, anyway, that's my advice for you today if you have an exam coming up. We've done quite a bit so far. Let me just remind you quickly what we've done. We've gone over saying where jobs are done. A big thing was the article. I was telling you the other day, and I'm not sure if I explained it very well, but I was basically telling you that, well, there isn't any trace of an article in Gaelic. Like if we say Hanas ac ober, it means but by putting in an or am, it becomes the. We also had a bit of a moment a few days ago talking about uh, anan, which means in a. Okay, it actually just means in. Okay, because an, as I mentioned a moment ago, isn't usually there, whereas an's an and ands are both there. And that can get a little bit complex. There's different reasons why it becomes are. And I've been trying to explain it here, but it's a bit nuts. Anyway, today we're going to move on a little bit because we want to answer these questions here. I've blacked out the answers. Now, they should be quite straightforward, or at least bits of them should be, because you should be recognizing um, some of the constructions for answering. Okay, so for example, we know the teacher. Um, can you remember how to say we know? Well, let me give you a little clue. How do you say I know? Yeah, we say I know by saying ha fis akum. So we know is ha fis a king. Now it's got two N's at the end. And for my own benefit, while we're talking, I'm just going to check on the pronunciation of that. Because the other day, as you know, we went over um, Eiche and Eike, which is uh, um, at her and at him. Okay, so what do you think it would be if we're saying we? What do you think the pronunciation might be? Any ideas? Yeah, I've just checked the pronunciation. It's actually Akien. Akien. We know the teacher. So we know the construction, okay, is um Hafiz Akien. Okay, Hafiz Akien, and then we have the teacher. Hafiz Akien, the teacher. What's the word for teacher? Well, it is actually teacher, or if it's lenited, it can become teacher with the H. Okay, so we know the teacher becomes uh, Hafiz Akin, and teacher is going to be, if it's a teacher, it's just going to be uh, Hafiz Akin teacher. If we add in an, it's going to become the teacher, Hafiz Akin and teacher. And the only thing we have to worry about there is whether it should be an or whether it should be am, because sometimes it takes the am. So let's have a look up here. We've done the teacher before. Yeah, we can see there. It's an teacher. Okay, so that should be our correct answer. So let me just take this one and see if I'm right. Aha, now, do you see, I've made a little mistake there. You can see it. I absolutely hate trying to unhighlight these. I'm just going to unhighlight everything. It'll make my life so much easier. Let me just do this. Um, yeah. So this actually says Hafiz Akin. We got that bit right. Air and teacher. So this is how we say it in Gaelic. I know, or knowledge is at me on the teacher. Remember, Hafiz Akin is knowledge is at us. Okay, so I was saying that it means we, it does in the translation, but the literal writing in Gaelic here is Hafiz Akin Air and teacher. So that means the knowledge is on us, on the teacher. Okay, it's how we say we know something, we put in air. Right. They don't know what job she does. So try not to look at the answers for a second, okay? They don't know what job she does. How do you say they don't know? Or chaneu fis, and in this case, is going to be um, uh, let me just check the pronunciation. I think it's just straightforwardly aka, but as we saw from the last one, my pronunciation is a bit duff. So I just want to double check. Let's see if I can find some pronunciation on this, just so I can check. Yeah, so as you remember, the one for knowledge is on her, in other words, she knows, is eichka, and it has a C in the spelling. So because there's a C here, it's the same kind of sound. Chaneu fis achka. Jay an ober aha I a genov. They don't know what job she makes. Okay, so the literal translation here is um, knowledge is not on her. Um, uh, what job she is a making. Okay, that's the verb genov. So, for example, Hami genov Aaron, I'm making bread, for example. So genov. Right. The next one, they don't know what job she does. We've just done that one. And it's important to remember here, Akam at me, Eichke at her, Eika at him, and we'll do the others as we come to them. But they're quite straightforward. We've just done on us as well, the translation we, uh, Akian, and uh, the last one there, Achka, and then they don't know. Right, let's try the next one. She knows where the hospital is. Okay, she knows where the hospital is. So we've just done knowledge is on her. A second ago, we went over it again. So you should remember. She knows ha fish eichke. Ha fish eichke. Ha fish eichke. It's important that you got that ch, and I don't always say it right. Eichke, eichke. Okay, so um, ha fish eichke. Catch a veil and hospital. Okay. He knows the way. So again, this is going to be knowledge is on him. It's a literal translation. Hafish Eike an Raj. Yeah, the TH is silent here, and the D takes a G sound, and Raj. Right. Do you know, or do they know the man? So again, uh, this is going to be a little bit different. So you should remember the question for do you know or do they know, which is avail. So is the knowledge on them is the question. Avail fis, uh, avail fis, and we've got achka and dunya. Okay. So is the knowledge on them, on the man? Okay, or about the man, you could say in the translation, if you wanted to make it easier for yourself. You know this song, Hafis Akit an Orange Show. Literally, knowledge is at you on this song, Orin Show. Now, you might know that Orin Moore, I think it is in Glasgow. It means the big song. It's like a theatre place in Glasgow's West End. So you might recognise Orin from that title, Orin Moore, big song. By the way, some of you or somebody sent a message asking if this stuff is A1 or A2. Just to clarify, the very basic way I'm going over this is step by step, slow way, would take us back to very basic Gaelic, which would be almost A1. But the actual grammar covered here, I think, is a little bit harder, which is A2, and bits of it as we go on. It's probably even going to be bordering on B1, in case you're wondering. That's really important to say. Um, Gaelic is very hard anyway, so it takes a lot of time to get used to this. Right. So you know this song, Half a Sacket Air an Orange Show. So there's a pattern developing here with air, which we can loosely translate as about, but that's not its meaning. I really don't know. Can you Acum Itcher? So I don't know, um, really. Right, there we are. So we're going to do the next part, which is part 2. I just need to unhighlight these, but we're trying to fill in the blanks. So let's try the fast one before we unhighlight them. So it says something fish akit catchavel I afurach. Now, what do we recognize here immediately? Well, you know that this is she because it's E. So they're talking about um, something or somebody that's feminine. We recognize the verb to live. We know catchavel is where. So where she lives. It's a question. Okay. So because it's a question, do you think it's just going to be something like how fish akket? How fish akket? I keep saying fish, but it's wrong. Fish is party. Fish akket. Any ideas? Yeah. If it's do you know, it's probably going to be uh, a veil, I think. Let's see what it says, or is it am veil? Let's have a little look. I'll just unhighlight all of these at the same time. Let's see. Oh, there we are. Right. Yeah. Avail. Avail for saket catchavel ia furach. Chanyo fis. Try not to look at the left here, okay? Chanyo fis. And then we have catchavel and teacher. So it's going to be at somebody. And I'm guessing it's going to be at you. Chanyo fis akit catchavel. Do you know where the teacher is? Okay, yeah, and it is. They put down Acom. So, um, uh, right. Let's just have a look at this. I don't know uh, where the teacher is. Now, I thought this was going to be a question, but it's not. They've just put in Acom, so there's no way we could have guessed that really. Uh, Anything could have worked in here. Akam, Akit. So let's just put that in. And this one, of course, was Avail. Um, there we are. Right. So again, there's no question here. So Hafiz could be anything. So you can choose what you want to put in there. But it's going to be I know, you know, she knows. It says here Hafiz Eichke on Regerst. I think it's actually pronounced uh, Rekurst. Rekurst. I added the H in, but it doesn't really fit. Rekurst. So the literal translation is, does somebody know? We're going to put in the blank. The answer. So let's just um, follow this. Eichke. Eichke. With a sound of going up. Eichke. Eichke. You don't want to confuse it with ikke or ikke. Eichke. Hafis ikke an regerst. So this is going to be she knows the answer. Right. We have a question. This really is a question this time. Okay. So Avel Fias, and again it's going to be the person where he works. So we know the last bit where he works. Avel Fias. So is it going to be, do you know? Does he know? Do we know? Do they know? So the answer, which we obviously couldn't guess, it could be anything, okay, is down here. Avelfis acit catchavel ac ober. So acit is you, as you know. So this is really easy because you could guess any of them, but I'm just aware that I'm having some pronunciations with this. It's pronounced usually fis. Okay, not fish, not fies, fis. Avelfis acet catchaveli ac ober. Okay. Nacheu fis. Okay. Who she is. Nacheu fis. And again, acum acet eichke eke akian. What is it? So what does the answers tell us? Acet. Okay. So let's just put that in there. Who she is. We know it's a she because of the I at the end there. Right. Okay, this is either going to be I know or I don't know that. Okay, so show is this. Shin is that. Okay, so we'll say Hafiz Akam. I think it's a really good practice for me because for some reason I don't recall any of the class, which is quite worrying. But anyway, you know how it is. Right. Can you fis something annum avala? Okay, so you should, if you've been following me on these clips, especially after the last exam session. This isn't the first time we've done this. If you want to see the really early ones from the very basic A1s, there are other exam clips from before Christmas. Can you fis something annum avala? So we know this is name of the town. So it's going to be, do you know? Well, it's not a question. It's going to be somebody doesn't know. Okay, so the answer suggesting that we use Akian. Okay, so let's just put that in. But the moral of the thing here is it's going to be a person. So you can practice with any of the people. Right, this is a question, the next one. Aveo fis, again, it's a person. uh, a chocere. This is lenited. It's usually cocere, which is cook. So chocere. Um, so do you know? Do they know? Do we know? And the answer is suggesting uh, uh, akov, which is a form of you. So, as you know, akov can be a very polite form. Okay, so I'll just write it in, or it can be you plural. So it could be asking, do any of you know, basically. Avilfus akov a chokere. Okay, we've got two more. Hafis somebody ira hula rut. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't know what that is. So I'll need to check the answer. And the last one, well, anyway, you know what they're looking for here. They're looking for a person. So we can just make somebody up. Okay, it doesn't really matter. And we'll look at the answer in a minute to get the meanings. But let's just say for this one, uh, the knowledge is on us. So we know. Okay, and we'll check the meaning of this in a second. We know that this is, I think, everyone, isn't it? Or every something. And then here it's a question. Do you know? Uh, we've got each. So if it's do you know, it's going to be a veil. Okay, so we know the constructions here. Right, there we are. Let's just check these. I think I need to move this. Yeah, the answers are under here, aren't they? Do you know, I absolutely hate these. They really do upset me a lot. Oh, for goodness sake. Just give me a second. What I'll do is I'm going to delete this top part. Don't worry, I'll bring it back later. Or you can see it again on the video clip, just so I can move this up. Right. There we are. Oh, they really don't like to make it easy, do they? And then I can pull this down. Okay. So you can see the answers there. So Hafiz Aka, we know that's on them. Er Hula Root, they know everything. Right. So I knew that hula was everyone or everything or something like that. Root. Okay. And the last one, Aveofis Akit Er and Itcha Shin. Do you know that place? Itcha. Aveofis Akit Er and Itcha Shin. Right. Well, we've done our best there. That wasn't too bad, although I'm aware that for me, I'm still relying too much on the answers. I should be able to create these very quickly without looking at this for the meaning. That's just feedback from myself. So I need to get myself into a state where I can answer these without referring to anything. Okay, well, we'll come to this next time. I think that's probably enough for today. Well,